Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the 5 types of people who should not be doing intermittent fasting. Now, all of these groups right here should be doing healthy keto, okay? Now, when I talk about fasting, I'm talking about at least like 2 meals a day, no snacks. If you're doing 3 meals a day, even no snacks, I'm not going to consider that intermittent fasting because you're doing 3 meals, okay? You're avoiding snacks, okay? So you could maybe call that intermittent fasting, but I'm not going to classify that as intermittent fasting. Now, if you're pregnant, I recommend you do 3 meals a day. And of course, I wouldn't recommend snacking, and we want to make sure we don't restrict the calories and make sure it's nutrient dense, just because we want to make sure that we don't deprive that mother of any nutrients at all. Okay, same thing goes with nursing. I don't recommend intermittent fasting. I would recommend 3 meals, no snacks. Because the infant is taking a lot of nutrition from the mother, we don't want to deprive the mother of any nutrients. Okay, number 3, thin people with neurodegeneration. And I'm talking about if you have Alzheimer's or Parkinson's and you're very, very frail and thin, if you do intermittent fasting, that could be a problem. So I would recommend 3 meals a day and bring the carbs down to 10 grams or less of carbohydrate, not 20 to 50. When we bring the carbs down and really force the body to run on ketones. The brain cells love ketones. Okay, number 4, babies. Okay, now if you're breastfeeding your baby, you're not going to do it like twice a day, or you're not going to restrict it. You're going to basically, when that baby is hungry, you feed it. Okay, small children. Okay, so I don't recommend intermittent fasting, but I also don't recommend any type of sweets. So we want to do healthy keto and alternative type sweet things because the child is growing and they demand a bit more nutrition than when we're older. Okay, number 5, if you have an eating disorder, anorexia or bulimia. Now, I did another video on this, which I recommended a version of intermittent fasting, and I want to explain this one point. Most people with eating disorders are doing a tremendous amount of carbohydrate, okay? So as soon as they do keto, it's going to be an instant relief, and especially doing a healthy version of keto to satisfy any nutrient deficiencies, right there, that's going to bring up the mood and give this individual a lot more control over their body and how they view themselves. So that's going to help. And when those impulses diminish, I think it would be really important to go from a 3 meal per day to maybe a 2 meal a day. And the big reason I'm recommending this, especially for bulimics, is that it's going to greatly improve the overall mental state, the mood, the support of the neurons in the brain. Of course, if someone's anorexic, you're not going to tell them to restrict their food, but you want to start out with a healthy version of keto, 3 meals a day, no snacks, okay? Then make a transition from there at the state where the person has less of those destructive impulses. Okay, so the other question that people have is like, what about if I'm hypoglycemic? Can I do intermittent fasting? Well, what's your alternative? 6 meals a day? That's what caused this problem in the first place. When you eat frequently, you spike insulin, okay? So you temporarily handle the cravings and the hypoglycemia, but you end up with the problem about an hour later, okay? So the ultimate solution is intermittent fasting done in a nice, gradual way with a lot of healthy, nutrient-dense foods and healthy fats. What you're going to notice is your cravings and hunger are going to go away and your blood sugars are going to stabilize. It's the way to correct this. And what's really behind this is insulin resistance. Okay, what about anxiety? Is that going to be stressful to do intermittent fasting? Again, you do it gradual. You start with 3 meals, add more fat to go longer so you're more satisfied, add the B vitamins and potassium to help you with anxiety. That alone will probably get rid of that symptom. And then gradually go into intermittent fasting because your stress will go down when you do intermittent fasting. It actually supports the adrenal gland. It doesn't worsen it. It's not an emergency state. What is an emergency state for the body is this blood sugar crash up and down. But you're converting your body over to a different fuel source, so it's not an emergency. Next one, sleep disorders. Well, what's interesting when you do intermittent fasting is that it supports your brain. The need for sleep does go down. I find a lot of people don't need 8 hours of sleep anymore. Even myself, I can get by on maybe 6 hours of sleep and I am totally fine for the rest of the day. Also, intermittent fasting and healthy keto together are really good for sleep apnea. And you're going to lose the weight, which is also going to help breathing in your back of your throat too. So it's not contraindicated. All right, now what about this topic with women with hormones? You hear this sometimes where, oh, you shouldn't do intermittent fasting because it's going to mess with the woman's hormones. It's just the opposite. Think about what happens with polycystic ovarian syndrome when they have high androgens. You do intermittent fasting, you drop insulin, you drop androgens, you actually really help women with polycystic ovarian syndrome. Then you have all the other successes with women that had infertility problems, and then they do keto and IF, and they become a lot more fertile and they have a child. Then you have women that have cycle problems, massive heavy periods, and they do this and that it levels off. One of the things I notice when I hear this complaint with, oh, my hormones are a problem, I'm doing intermittent fasting. Well, they're doing what's called the 5 and 2, okay? Which basically means 5 days out of the week, they pretty much eat whatever they want, and then they fast, or they at least reduce their calories to 500 to 600 for 2 days. Okay, to me, that is not a healthy thing to do. By the time you reduced your calories for those 2 days and you go right back to your regular eating for 5 days, that's going to nullify really any results that you have. I recommend doing intermittent fasting on a daily basis. You do 3 meals, then the 2 meals, and maybe even 1 meal per day. But don't do this right here, 5 and 2, because I could see that potentially throwing off your hormones simply because you're pretty much eating what you want for those 5 days. And you're not even fasting correctly for this day. You're reducing your calories. So it's kind of an unhealthy version of fasting. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, real quick, I have a new healthy keto eating plan for you. Just go to drberg.com. It's right on the front page. I put a link down below. Download it. It's free. Check it out.